And I'm pleased to welcome our distinguished witnesses. The Honorable Ed Rendell, former governor of the great state, or the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. He's also the co-chair of Building America's Future. Thank you, Governor, for being here today. Tom Donahue, the President and CEO of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and a real advocate for transportation. Appreciate you and all your work you've been doing over the past couple of years. And Taylor Sullivan, the General President of the Labor's International Union of North America. Thank you for taking the time to be here today, and we can't wait to hear what you have to say. Transportation is important. It's about people and how they live their lives, how they get to work, how they get their children to school, how they buy food, clothing, and other necessities, and how families visit one another around the country. It's also about business. Transportation is critical on how the supply chain functions, how raw materials get to factories, how goods get to the markets, how food gets from the farmers to our kitchens, and how energy products move from production areas to consuming areas. An efficient national transportation network allows business to lower transportation costs, which lowers production costs and enhances productivity and profits. It allows American business to be competitive in the global marketplace and for our economy to prosper and grow. One need only to look at our interstate highway system and see how that investment in our national transportation network has benefited our nation and caused tremendous economic growth over the past 2 generations. The federal government has historically played a role in transportation. Remarkably, the event that unexpectedly led to the Constitutional Convention was a long-standing dispute between Virginia and Maryland regarding navigation rights on the Potomac River, regarding transportation improvements proposed by George Washington. George Washington was determined that the new nation must have the capacity to be connected through effective trade and communications through transportation and infrastructure projects. However, Washington's efforts to extend navigation required a formal treaty between Maryland and Virginia and elaborate approvals from other states and the Continental Congress. To settle that dispute, he convened a meeting at Mount Vernon, which was unsuccessful, and then he continued to work on it, and then they called another convention at Annapolis in 1786 to deal with the Articles of Confederation and how they would move forward on this issue of navigation rights. And that summit failed. And as the participants left, they understood that if they were going to be a United States, they had to improve the Articles of Confederation. This is a very real sense that the Constitutional Convention and the Constitution itself were in response to meeting the transportation and commerce needs of a young nation, notably the Commerce Clause, gives the Congress the power to regulate interstate commerce and create, in the words of the preamble, a more perfect union. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 of the Commerce Clause says to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and the Indian tribes. And Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7, to establish post offices and post roads. And those post roads of 1780s and 90s are the highway system, the byway system that we use today. And we continue to invest over the centuries, from the Transcontinental Railroad to the Panama Canal, to the interstate highway system. And why? Why did we do this? To ensure that the nation was connected, to support the needs of the U.S. economy and the American people. Our national transportation system binds us together, physically binds us together. As President Dwight Eisenhower observed, without the unifying force of commerce and transportation, we would be a mere alliance of many separate parts. Congress must renew its commitment to providing a robust physical platform upon which the American people and business can compete and prosper. You know the consequences of inadequate transportation and infrastructure. A major event that compromises the safety or efficiency of one mode can create a ripple effect throughout the entire system, impeding freight and passenger mobility. Last Congress, we made solid progress towards addressing our infrastructure needs by passing a surface transportation and aviation bills. And I give great credit to Chairman Mica for his leadership on both those efforts. But there is more work to be done, and this committee will take the lead on promoting legislation that addresses our nation's infrastructure needs. First up, WRDA, or the Water Resources Development Act. It was last enacted in 2007, and ideally that bill should be reauthorized every 2 years. In September, the passenger rail bill expires, and so we need to be working on that, dealing with safety in rail and also the passenger system in this country. And then the surface transportation bill, which expires in September of 2014, which we'll be working on, and we'll start today is the kickoff and making progress towards that bill. We can be successful. We must be successful. It needs to be a bipartisan effort. We need to build consensus and work together. It will promote competitiveness and economic growth. we need to focus our resources where they're most needed, and I still believe we need to go further when it comes to reform programs. Spending taxpayer dollars wisely are needed, and those reforms moving forward to continue to do that, to give the states the flexibility to speed up the time it takes to do these major transportation projects, saves us time, saves us money. Investing in our transportation system is our shared responsibility, and if we want to ensure prosperity of the nation for future generations. Every day I talk to my colleagues about the importance of our transportation system. The nation's fiscal issues present many challenges, and we're faced with difficult choices, but the consequences of inaction are dire. If we are successful, and I believe we will be, then we can facilitate economic growth and ensure Americans' quality of life for years to come.